joining us. It's a privilege, Dr. Kavi and Dr. Soni, to have you both because you are in one of the most forested states of India, at Chhattisgarh. And
That's right.
I have, yes, please. I have worked in some parts of South Chhattisgarh, Janjgir, Champa district, and so on. And and I see that I will possibly spend about 20 minutes offering you 15 to 20 slides on what I believe are directions that India's government, India's communities, India's NGOs and others have to be taking as stakeholders. I have requested our Subhasji to see that he presents a deck that I have shared with him, and what I will be doing is that the subject that Professor Narayan chose was this heat waves and the challenge to health of people. Now, you know that when we talk water, we are talking public health engineering, and here we are talking of public health challenge. Next slide, Subhasji. I will take about 5 slides to set what we already know. From about 2005 and 20 years, we have doubled the number of climate events or extreme heat kind of events have doubled. Now, you know, even this year, last month, we had 53 degrees in some places, in many cities. We had 97 cities of the world that fell in India. Heat waves are becoming longer. That's the other bad news that we are having. Earlier, it used to be for spells of, say, 24 to 48 hours. These days, it's becoming up to 100 hours. Indian cities. Therefore, this nocturnal cycle or the critical nighttime cooling properties are very, very rapidly being lost. Next one, Swazi. See, I mean, you know the causes. I don't want to waste too much time upon this. It's tree cover, it's water cover, it's of course density of buildings that we are insanely building in across in every city, and then things like traffic as well as of course conflict. I mean, for people like you who are anthropologists, the anthropocenic changes that have happened since about 1990, I will say, have dramatically impacted the planet and our cities. It is useful to remember when we talk cities, there are cities are only 200,000 square kilometers across India's 3.3 million square kilometers. We are not even 3% of the landmass. Cities are only 3% of the landmass, but cities have got 50% of our population living there. And therefore, the challenge in cities is greater than it is in our villages. We must also remember that we have 600,000 villages. We lost about 30,000 villages to coal, including in states like Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh and so on in the last, say, 30 years. But if I leave out those 30,000 villages, we have 6 lakh villages. China has only 4 lakh villages. All of South America has got only 4 lakh villages. The world has 2 million villages, and India has therefore 6.6 million of that. Please remember that we are the largest, by far the largest, when it comes to villages. And Gandhiji spoke about villages being the heart of India and so on. We'll leave it there for now. Subhasji, next one. You see this. This is very interesting. For example, I am sitting in a temperate city. Just now, the temperature outside is no more than 24 degrees in Bangalore. Right, and the summer is already sort of dead in Bangalore. We are moving towards the monsoon. Now, the monsoon comes much later if you are in Delhi, July 15 or so. For instance, in places like Bengal, you will get it only by about the third week of this month, June. What we are seeing, therefore, is this protracted heat spell, and this spell is what is causing stress for humans as well as for living species across the country. I mean, if you went, for instance, today to the forests of West Bengal or even in your states of Chhattisgarh, the wild species are having a tough challenge meeting this kind of anthropocenic change that has happened in the last 10, 15 years. Next one, please. Here we are seeing indoor temperatures. Look at this one, and this is something that we can do something about. 5,000, 6,000 hours annually above dangerous indoor heat. That is, out of 8,640 hours that a year has got, 5,800 hours we have got of heat thresholds being higher. right? And that comes obviously because of what we have done to our cities. Next one, please. Here we are on, you know, all this. I'm not going to speak about this, but this is really important for the last one, the most vulnerable people, the poor, the aged, as well as, of course, people in the slums, in fishermen communities in the East Coast, for instance. All of these are having challenges. I know of communities in Bangalore where there are 20,000, 30,000 people living in shanties with tin sheds. And the heat level can become extremely high in such places, as you know. So, how are we going to beat this ecology change or impact upon the vulnerable poor is one big challenge for the next, say, 20 years for India. Yes, Subhaji. Climate change is unequal. That's what I said earlier. I'm saying it again. This is just need. You can keep emphasizing this. We are just now working on a climate action plan in Chennai. Chennai is a city of about 14 million population now. It's about 700 square kilometers. Now, in a city like that, with where there is not too much of diurnal change, that is, your temperature change will not be anywhere beyond, let us say, 5 degrees, 27 to 32 degrees. But humidity levels are very high. The highest that you can get in Chennai as temperature in summer will be about 36 degrees, as against, let us say, an Ahmedabad at 47 to 49, 50 degrees. Keep that in mind because it's important for us to understand that these microclimate variations are going to be something we need to address separately. Heat waves, of course, exponentially increase. I don't have to say this, you know, and I will show you some few of these sketches and diagrams to charts to show you how this is impacting us. Next one. It's not just a problem of water shortage. It's sometimes extreme high inundation threats. Sometimes it's drought and no water situations in our cities. 41% rise, 47% loss since 1991. Please see that. I have taken 1991 because that is when India moved towards economic liberalization. And from then to now, India moved from about $200 billion to about $4,000 billion or $4 trillion. 200 billion, we have moved, therefore, about 20 times as GDP goes. But what did we lose in the process? We lost our wetlands. We lost many things like this. And that is the challenge we have got. This slide is about how, as officers in the government or as communities and stakeholders in society, we need to work together to balance GDP and this natural disaster impact. Next one, please. And this I'll skip now, but there are lots of things you can do within a building. And this is only illustrative of about 20 different things you can do to make a building net zero energy or net zero water. We can discuss it later. I have left this presentation with our Subhasji. You can take it, research it, analyze it, implement things, or come back to us and we will be able to help you. Next one. This is Chennai. I'm not able to make this larger because of the constraints of PowerPoint presentation. But this is a longitudinal city. I'll spend about 1 minute on this. On the north, interestingly, we have all the water reservoirs and the traditional sources of water for Chennai. On the south, similarly, no, don't move, please. Yeah. On the south, we have, you can see on the south, we have again a very dense heat zone. Only in the center, some parts are not showing as a heat zone. The reason is this. Development in the last, say, 25 years from about 2000 happened beyond the old traditional city, which is between those two rivers of Adyar and Kuam. And this is something that I would say is also typical of a few other cities in India. Baroda is another. So the old part of the city did not develop as much as those toward the north and the south in Chennai and to the east also. This is important for us to understand as urban planners, as people who need to see what you will do to revegetate those places. The damage is done. You cannot redeem those lands, but you can see what you can do to reverse the impact. Next one, please. This is Bangalore. This first was Chennai. Now this one is Bangalore. Look at what is happening in Bangalore, especially on the east. There is this satellite corridor or whatever we call it, STRR we call it. And that corridor of about 288 kilometers around the city, 288 kilometers around the city, has meant a stripping of the entire stretch of what we had as trees earlier. And that is contributing to this kind of a very, very grim heat map. This map is only 2 years old now, 2024, and things are getting worse. We have today 14 million in Bangalore. We were 1 million in 1965. We were 6 million in 2000. We are 14 million now in 2025, 26. By 2035, 10 years from now, Bangalore is hosting over 20 million people. And that is part of the challenge too. Okay, next one, please. Uh, yeah, this is a map that another architect colleague from the National University of Singapore and a practicing architect in Singapore called Leong, he made this. And we are working with him, the Altec Foundation is working with him and a couple of other institutions like INHAF, the Habitat India Forum, which is Ahmedabad based. We're trying to see how we can make some large blueprints as part of policy for cities in order to see how we can enlarge the green footprint. I'm not talking of green cover alone. We're trying to see how we can enlarge the green footprint, which means that we also work on efficiencies in water use as well as energy use. So we're looking at some 3 or 4 different things in order to see that we are able to make our buildings water efficient, energy efficient, existing buildings. And at the same time, we also enlarge this physical green footprint of cities. This is Hyderabad, as I said, and this is a kind of a clover and system which is shall we say mimicking nature. And this is possible, this is doable. This has been presented in a couple of universities in Hyderabad. They have accepted. But the big, that the big elephant in the room always is the government. And if the government doesn't accept, nothing can move. Next one, please. Yeah, this is another interesting one that I found. There is another forum called Question of Cities. They are Bombay based, and they put out very interesting things once in a while. And I can connect the Indian society to people that I know in this place. Now, look at what is happening here under each of the states and the segments. No, please, yeah. Each of the segments, you can see each of the states also, you can see what we have got as tree cover and how we have lost. Look at the bottom how we have lost nearly 4 lakh trees in just the last quarter, 2, 3 years, 4 years from about 2021. So there is this relentless, effort from somebody in the government to remove, to defoliate, even in the private sector and in the public sector also, apart from the government. And we're losing way too much as tree cover and vegetation cover. Next one, please. And this is something you all know, very, very small. If you take from, say, 698, say 700,000 to, it's about 15, 17,000 square kilometers. A city like, say, Bombay is about 1,500 square kilometers. So you can possibly say that about 10 Bombays have the larger forest cover that has increased. Way too small. Way, way too small for a country of this size at 3.3 million square kilometers. From 1860 to 2000, we lost something like 70% of our forest cover. You all know that. There are experts here from anthropology as well as forest and vegetation. And both of you as discerning professionals understand this, that we have lost a tremendous amount of natural foliage in the last, say, 150 years, particularly in the last, say, 30 years. Next one, please. This is losing, you see this, interestingly, every city that you see, except for a few of them, is losing cover by, look at that, Ahmedabad has lost what, 50% it has lost. And this is data from 1991 to 2024. 50% tree cover has been lost in Ahmedabad, in a city which has always had 45 to 47 degrees that it's a hot and dry region. And in a place like that, we have lost so much as tree cover. Calcutta has lost a little bit. Bangalore has lost up to, you look at the loss that Bangalore has suffered. That's 5%. 5% is on 700 square kilometers, that's 35 square kilometers. 35 square kilometers of forest cover has been lost in Bangalore. Mumbai is, is about 10%. Chennai, you can see the figure. I don't have to tell you, but I picked up this from another institutional research in order for you to understand that this is really happening out there and we are not doing anything to reverse this. Next one, please. Solutions are available. Next one, yeah, this one is See, when we talk trees, we also have to talk water. Interestingly, this is official data I'm taking. If I'm wrong on this, I'd like some of the experts here to correct me. India hosts over 100,000 lakes. China, official statistics says about 25,000, right? And traditionally, if you look at it, China did not have the kind of, what shall I say, um, the veneration, the reverence that we pay to our forests. If I look at lakes in China, you will see that they're heavily shaped by landscaping. Hydraulic engineering plays more important role there than in India. Their Tao philosophy, for instance, it always seeks to achieve perfect harmony, but it has no spiritual connect as we have in India. If you look at Indian lakes, I mean, traditionally, I'm saying over the last 2000 years, we have treated them as, for instance, if you go to Pushkar, we are talking of cosmic energy, we are talking of spiritual merit, we are talking of sacred water bodies across many such water lakes and tanks in India. So I'm saying the difference between China and India is that India has not consciously thought of sustainability, but it has been woven into the religious fabric. It's important for us to know that there is therefore 85% of India, the non-urban sector, of people who still believe in some of those values, and we need to restore that. This 10-15% of us in the cities are the ones who are destroying 80% of our natural resources. This is what I'd like you all to remember also, if possible. If there are youngsters here listening, I would like them to know that there is this 80-20 syndrome. 20% of people damage 80% of our natural ecosystems. Next one, please, Shivaji. I'm almost done. Yeah, so this is a very, very significant one, if you ask me. If there are people, I mean, if the Indian society wants to connect with Dr. Mahir Shah, I can enable that if necessary. You must invite him to come and speak. This committee that he chaired, I think it was between late 2021 and early 2023, this report was made. The Prime Minister also announced it at one point of time, but nothing has happened. It has not been enacted still as law. As some of you know, 1982 or something was the first such water policy. We have had four water policies, and this was the fifth proposed one, and this has been buried somewhere, unfortunately. The focus is on quality, on demand side management, and on climate resilience. Now, if you look at the three here, if you look at demand management, for instance, I don't have to tell professionals like you, but it's important that we focus, and we do a lot of such work. We are saying, let's stop this, let's look at wastewater as a resource, for example, or transition to, we are looking at some three or four watersheds in Tamil Nadu, in one or two districts, and here in Telangana also, where we are saying we take a panchayat, about 700 to 800 acres, we try and see how we give them a revised crop pattern with increased water efficiency. We have done such work in the last 20 years in places around the Tungabhadra, near Hampi and such places. And so watersheds are important for India, and we must try and see how we can infuse such things and educate farmers to move away from paddy, wheat, sugarcane, and such water inefficient crops. Decentralization, I don't need to tell you what it's about. State action, because it's a concurrent list on the constitution, whatever framework that we have in India, states also take certain decisions. And I know in Karnataka, I've been part of some of the measures here in Karnataka as policy frameworks. And I know that we have done enough work across districts in Karnataka to see that some localized kind of influence is brought about through the panchayats. The next one, please, Shivaji. Yeah. This I don't need to say, this is all at the urban level of interventions that we need to bring. Finally, if markets don't do it, if the private sector does not do it, if industry bodies do not encourage it, it will not happen. It is not about law and mandate alone from the government. It takes two hands to clap. Industry and communities have to clap hands with the government. Next one, please. I'm almost done. This is all about governance, and you know this. I mean, many of you here who are participating today will clearly understand these systems. It's not for want of solutions in India. We have enough of such strategies, tactical and operational systems and approaches for such solution in sustainability. But there is not the will somewhere, not politically. I am saying there is it's a combination of unwillingness and unawareness among communities and users. Next one, please. That's it. Um, well, we can talk about health, but to me, it's not about health. It's first about what we will do to sow the right things in order to create the proper ecosystems for reducing public health risks. And by talking about public health risk alone, we will not solve it. We need to go back and look at the kind of things that we discussed today. I'll be happy to learn from you all. Over to you, Subhashji, and Professor Narayan. Over to you. Thank you for creating this opportunity for these two wonderful officers, Dr. Kavi and Dr. Soni, also to speak today.
Yeah,
Hello.
Professor Narayan.
Yes,
Yeah, Professor
Dr.
Narayan,
Narayan, we
you
can
can.
hear you.
Yes, hello. I was just listening what your discussion was, and you suggested very some good ideas and some good strategies. But the fact is that as you know, in case of India, the majority of the population are even today neglected and left out of this policy. We are making policy only for the 20% of the urban centric population, and the rest 80% living in rural and tribal India are left out. Whereas the fact is that for this uh, program like this, the rural and tribal India is more important than the urban India, because all the inputs which is required to balance the climate change and the climate required details are in rural India and in tribal India. The experts are also neglecting it because they feel it difficult to go and stay there, and there are no such facilities which is they are habituated of. So they are depending on secondary data or tertiary data, not even a primary data. I am saying this because I have primary data with me. I have made interview with the people living in the rural and tribal India, and that is the only solution for the climate change which we get from this part of our country free of cost. The only thing is we should learn our traditional knowledge, traditional skill, on the basis of which we were number one in the world. So far, considering the ecological, global ecology, global environment, all those we are using it in our text and in text for a very long period, and there are very good examples how they controlled the situation. So my request to this committee or the commission will be that first of all, you try to have some such experts from rural and tribal India. You are talking of Chhattisgarh. I am working on Chhattisgarh for almost 50 years. But I could meet only this Dr. Ravi. He is also an anthropologist, young anthropologist working in Chhattisgarh from different dimension in in-depth data he has. But unfortunately, those data which we have, the anthropologists have, needs to be discussed with the ecological and environmental experts, which we want to share, but the ecological and environmental experts, they have more weightage on drafting the policy, and the anthropologists are neglected. I do not know why it is happening, because at the global level, whenever there is a meeting for the climate change and all that, then we are as a formality, we are invited and our voice is heard. But I don't think that that it gets importance when the policy is drafted, whether it is in case of in terms of human rights, or whether it's in case of ecology and environment or green population. These things needs to be redefined and rediscussed with the young man like Kavi, and other such younger generation which are working on and which belong to those such as areas like the Chhattisgarh, like the this Tamil Nadu, and the some part of the Bihar and Jharkhand, some part of the Nagaland, and all these things are there which needs to be considered. If you constitute a subcommittee, I can give you many more such details which are required, and that will help the future of the globe. That is my concern is only that how the future of the globe can be saved, sustained with the knowledge which the anthropologist has. And we are very much open to this. I have a group of people who are working on this issue in our team, and our team is self-sufficient. You can talk about any aspect of India or any aspect of Sri Lanka or Japan. I can give you much such details that what is required, where is the gap. So that gap needs to be identified first, and then you discuss, and then you come out with the solutions, because you don't you have not understood the global problem of the climate change, and you are coming up with the prescription. So what kind of prescription it will be? You have not seen the patient, and you have not talked to the patient, and then you are providing medicine to him to get him cured. Will it work? I think it will. It will never work. So this is the primary approach which needs to be. You just constitute a committee or a subcommittee or a commission or a subcommission consisting of the anthropologists working in those areas like Chhattisgarh or Nagaland or some other such places where the population of the tribals are much concentrated, but they are neglected. So that needs to be. I have submitted some reports on this issue with the government of India, with the concerned departments and the ministries of the government of India. If you go through those reports, then don't read those reports only as a rituals like Hanuman Chalisa, because today is Saturday, so we have to recite Hanuman Chalisa. Don't use like that. Don't, you just treat them as a scientific paper and a scientific analysis, and a systematic scientists who are working in that problem, they should be consulted frequently, and then there should be some linkages to younger generations, especially the girls and the women's, because they are more concerned for preservation and promoting of the our ancient culture, in which the this section of the global issue has got sufficient uh, space, but in modern literature of this issue, which is of great importance for the modern population, upcoming population, is neglected. This is, I have no, say, nothing, I don't think that I am saying anything wrong, because I feel when I go to Chhattisgarh or Nagaland or to some Meghalaya and some other such states which are where we find a tribal and rural population constitutes more than 80% of that state, there the awareness is still not there. So what kind of things we are doing when we have left those people, and they have the inputs, very rich inputs for the development of such a situation, and that can be approved. That is that we have seen it ourselves. Or if anybody or any team, any committee wants to have a discussion, I'm ready anywhere. We can have a discussion online, offline, whatsoever it may be, because I want to discuss this in the interest of the humanity of the globe. Global population must know what kind of input is required that we are not able to provide as a scientist in the absence of knowledge. You have to give linkages of the traditional knowledge with the modern knowledge, with the more upcoming scientific systematic knowledge. It has a from which has come
Thank you.
from. Thank you, thank you very much
Thank you,
for
Professor
hearing.
Narayan. And we would like to share that in recent times, in last 3 months, in every month, Professor Narayan has was able to get his one book published. And recently, Status of Primitive Tribal Groups of Bihar. Uh, Last month it was there, and this month I think he is coming with the book on Saurya Paharia. Am I right, Professor Narayan?
Yes, yes, you are right.
Oh, thank you for your deliberation. Now we have Dr. Rupendra Kavi. Kavi Saab, I think your camera got off. Dr. Rupendra Kavi, he is a renowned anthropologist. He is working in Chhattisgarh government, state government. He is a deputy secretary to governor of Chhattisgarh and has worked on the tribes, especially Baga tribes. Uh, uh, who lives in around Jagdalpur, and he has been associated with Society for Empowerment since last 5 years, and presently our newsletter Prarambh. He is also in this month we are coming on the special issue on the environmental aspects of tribes in Chhattisgarh. So he is a guest editor for that Prarambh issue. Now we would like to invite डॉक्टर कवि साहब आपके जो वक्तव्य है हम लोग उसको सुनना चाह रहे हैं प्लीज
थैंक यू पहले तो ऑडियो सुनिए मैं
आप ऑडिबल है बट आप में नॉइज है काफी सारा
आवाज पहुंच रही है आप लोग
आपकी आवाज आ रही है बट आवाज में वो नॉइज है
It's
बहुत
very
नॉइज
got
है
something wrong with, yeah, something wrong with the voice.
आपने कोई
Anyway,
अच्छा तो मेरे
ईयरफोन या कुछ लगाया है क्या एक बार
वहीं
सर
से चेक
लॉग ऑफ करके आप फिर लॉग इन कीजिए
yeah, we can't hear you well. Kavi, we can't hear you. You can log out and come back.
कवि साहब आप एक बार लॉग आउट कीजिए फिर लॉग इन कीजिए
चलिए हमें हो रहा था
नहीं आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है नहीं आ रही आप ये तो कोई दूसरा सिस्टम या मोबाइल से ट्राई करिए अब since Dr. Rupendra Kavi, we are not able to hear him from right now. We are having Gopi Krishna Soni साहब जो environmentalist हैं और वो एक प्राकृतिक जो जीवन है जो आदिवासियों की प्राकृतिक जीवन है जो खान पान है उनके ऊपर वो उन्होंने काफी रिसर्च किया है और ये एक बहुत अच्छे फोटोग्राफर भी हैं और इनका काफी सारा वीडियोज ट्राइबल डांस के और जो ट्राइबल फूड्स के ऊपर फेसबुक और यूट्यूब पे है गोपी किशन सर
जी सर
जी आप बताएं सर
सर बैगा जनजाति के जो क्या बोलते हैं प्राकृतिक के साथ सामंजस्य स्थापित कर जीवन जीने वाली ये भारत की प्रमुख जनजातियों में से एक है और आधुनिक संसाधनों के अभाव में भी बैगा समुदाय सदियों से प्राकृतिक तरीकों से गर्मी का जो है उसका सामना भी करते आया है। उनका जीवन पूरा क्या पर्यावरण के अनुकूल होने के साथ साथ पारंपरिक ज्ञान का उत्कृष्ट उदाहरण प्रस्तुत करता है सर। गर्मी के दिनों में बैगा परिवार मिट्टी, लकड़ी और घास फूस से बने घरों में निवास करते। ये घर प्राकृतिक रूप से ठंडे रहते हैं और तेज गर्मी से सुरक्षा प्रदान करते हैं। दिन के सबसे गर्म समय में लोग बड़े-बड़े वृक्ष जैसे बरगद हो गया, पीपल हो गया, इसके नीचे लोग रहते हैं और क्या बोलते हैं, विशेषकर जो अ, पेड़ों की छाया में विश्राम करते हैं ये लोग। और गांव में ऐसे वृक्ष सामाजिक और सांस्कृतिक गतिविधियों के केंद्र भी होते हैं। इनके वृक्ष और पैगा समुदाय के बच्चे बुजुर्ग अक्सर खुले हवादार स्थानों पर विश्राम करते हैं, जिससे शरीर को प्राकृतिक ठंडक मिलती है। मिट्टी का आंगन और वृक्षों की छाया गर्मी को कम करने में महत्व भूमिका निभाते हैं। और इनका जो खान पान की दृष्टि से बैगा समाज गर्मी के मौसम में जैसे कोदो हो गया, कुटकी, मक्का तथा चावल से बने पेज जिसको माड़ बोलते हैं, उसका सेवन करते हैं लोग। और शरीर को काफी ठंडा ये रहता है ये पेय। पानी की कमी को दूर भी करता है और शरीर को ठंडक प्रदान करता है सर। इसके अलावा जंगलों से प्राप्त जैसे कंदमूल हो गया, मौसमी फल हो गया, महुआ तथा स्थानीय हरी सब्जियां उनके भोजन का हिस्सा होता है। आज जब बढ़ते तापमान और जलवायु के परिवर्तन की चर्चा हो रही है, तब बैगा जनजाति का पारंपरिक ज्ञान हमें प्रकृति के साथ संतुलित जीवन जीने की सीख देता है। उनके प्राकृतिक उपाय पर्यावरण संरक्षण और स्वास्थ्य दोनों के लिए उपयोगी सिद्ध होते हैं। तो सर इनके ज्यादातर जो रहने का घर है वो मिट्टी का ही बना रहता है। ऊपर जैसे छत में वो घास फूस का ही ये करते हैं। और जैसे मिलेट में जो मक्का है और कोदो, इसका ज्यादातर उपयोग करते हैं सर हम लोग। सर इतना ही था मेरा। थोड़ा सा घरेलू कारण मैं तैयार नहीं कर पाया हूँ सर अभी।
धन्यवाद, धन्यवाद। आपका वक्तव्य बहुत ही अच्छा था।
जी जी सर।
आपने काफी काम जो प्राकृतिक जो वहाँ पे जलवायु और जीवन है, उसके ऊपर भी
जी
आपने
सर।
काफी सारे फोटोग्राफी आपका है, गोपी
हाँ
कृष्ण में।
जी सर। जी सर।
हाँ, तो
जी
उसके बारे में थोड़ा आप बताएंगे, उन क्षेत्रों के बारे में, और वहाँ पे जो पेड़ पौधे हैं, जो पक्षियां हैं, उनके बारे में भी थोड़ा बताएं।
सर पेड़ ज्यादातर सराई का पेड़ है जो ठंडक ही रहता है। उसके नीचे से जो पानी रिसता है उससे पेयजल के रूप में उपयोग करते हैं। जैसे बरगद हो गया उसका भी। और ज्यादातर इन लोग का देवी देवता जो साजा का पेड़ रहता है उसके में करते हैं सर। और जो खेती है बेवर बिना हल चलाए वाला करते हैं वो। तो उसमें जो मिलेट का रहता है जैसे सामा कांग और सलार, तो ये काफी पौष्टिक वाला रहता है सर ये। तो इनका जो खेती करने का वो है, एक बार खेती करते हैं उसके बाद 6 से 7 साल तक उसको छोड़ देते हैं सर वो। और पूरा क्या बोलते हैं जंगल में जैसे पक्षी वगैरह हो गया, तो कुछ पक्षी को मानते हैं कुछ को नहीं मानते, तो उसको भी शिकार कर लेते हैं। ज्यादातर इन लोग मांसाहारी का ज्यादा, मछली का ज्यादा वो करते हैं सर उपयोग खाने में।
धन्यवाद, धन्यवाद
जी
गोपी
जी
किशन
सर।
सर। अब हमारे
जी
साथ डॉक्टर रुपेंद्र कवि जी जुड़ गए हैं। कवि सर, अ, आपको हमारी आवाज आ रही है?
बिल्कुल क्लियर है। अब मैं ऑडिबल हूँ। थैंक यू सॉरी फॉर इनकन्वीनियंट।
अब आप प्लीज।
फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल बहुत बहुत थैंक्स सुभाष सर आज के सेशन में जुड़ने के लिए, और आज के सेशन के ये और मेरे बहुत ही परम आदरणीय डॉक्टर नारायण साहब, चंद्रा साहब, और हमारे मित्र गोपी सोनी साहब, सभी के साथ
थैंक यू।
मंच में भले ही ऑनलाइन हम लोग हैं, आभासी दुनिया है, पर बात करते हुए बहुत फील गुड महसूस कर रहा हूँ। और आज हम एक महत्वपूर्ण विषय क्लाइमेट चेंज एंड अर्बन हीट आइलैंड पर बात कर रहे हैं। और क्योंकि ये कीनोट बोलने के लिए कहा गया था, पर मैं अपने अनुभवों के आधार पर ही इस राउंड टेबल डिस्कशन पे बस्तर और उनके आदिवासियों के बीच मेरा ज़्यादा काम रहा है। तो एक शोधार्थी के रूप में जो मैंने वहाँ पाया था, एक मानव वैज्ञानिक के नाते वहाँ जब भी कुछ देखा, तो बस्तर के अनुभवों के साथ मैं कुछ बातें रख रहा हूँ, कुछ बात करना चाह रहा हूँ। जो क्लाइमेट चेंज है वो केवल वैज्ञानिक चर्चा का विषय नहीं है, बल्कि यह हमारे दैनिक जीवन, स्वास्थ्य, आजीविका और भविष्य से जुड़ा हुआ प्रश्न है। जब हम जलवायु परिवर्तन की बात करते हैं तो सामान्यतः तापमान वृद्धि, अनियमित वर्षा, सूखा, बाढ़ और चरम मौसमी घटनाओं को उल्लेख करते हैं। वही अर्बन हीट आइलैंड का अर्थ कि शहरों का तापमान आसपास के ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों की तुलना में अधिक हो जाना। इसका मुख्य कारण कंक्रीट का विस्तार, हरित वृक्षों की कमी और वाहनों और ऊर्जा के बढ़ते उपयोग तथा प्राकृतिक जल निकायों का सिकुड़ना है। मैं इस विषय में बस्तर और हमारे आदिवासी समाज के अनुभवों में जोड़कर देखना चाहूंगा। मैं बस्तर भारत के उन क्षेत्रों में से है जहां प्रकृति और समाज का संबंध आज भी अपेक्षाकृत गहरा है। यहाँ के आदिवासी समुदाय समितियों के जंगल, जल स्रोतों और स्थानीय जैव विविधता के साथ संतुलित जीवन जीते आ रहे हैं। उनके पारंपरिक आवास स्थानीय जलवायु के अनुरूप बनाए जाते हैं। मिट्टी के लकड़ी, बांस और प्राकृतिक वेंटिलेशन का उपयोग उन्हें गर्मी से बचाता था। आज आधुनिक निर्माण पद्धतियों में हम जिस क्लाइमेट रेजिमेंट डिजाइन की बात करते हैं उनका व्यवहारिक स्वरूप हमें इन पारंपरिक जो वो है उससे अलग दिखाई देता है। जलवायु परिवर्तन है, वर्षा का पैटर्न बदल रहा है, गर्म दिनों की संख्या बढ़ रही है और कृषि तथा वनोपज आधारित आजीविकाओं पर इसका असर दिखाई पड़ता है। इसको सबसे अधिक प्रभाव उन समुदायों पर पड़ रहा है जिनकी निर्भरता सीधे प्राकृतिक संसाधनों पर है। यहाँ एक महत्वपूर्ण प्रश्न यह उठता है कि क्या अर्बन हीट आइलैंड केवल बड़े महानगरों की समस्या है? तो मेरा उत्तर नहीं होगा। मेरा मानना है कि बिल्कुल नहीं। आज छोटे शहर और उभरते नगर भी इसी दिशा में बढ़ रहे हैं। यदि हम अभी से योजना नहीं बनाएंगे तो आज वाले वर्षों में हमारे मध्य और छोटे शहरों में भी गंभीर तापीय तनाव का सामना करना पड़ेगा। ये बहुत बड़े इस संदर्भ में कुछ नीतिगत सुझाव जो मैं देना चाहूंगा कि पहली बात है कि जैसे शहरी नियोजन में हरित अवसंरचना को केंद्रीय स्थान दिया जाए। शहरों में केवल पार्क ही बना देना सफिशिएंट नहीं होगा, बल्कि हरित गलियों, सड़कों किनारे वृक्षारोपण और स्थानीय प्रजातियों के वृक्षों का संरक्षण सुनिश्चित किया जा सकता है। इसका एक प्रैक्टिकल जो अप्लाइड पक्ष में देखता हूँ गवर्नर साहब के साथ अभी जब हम लोग विजिट में कहीं जाते हैं छत्तीसगढ़ में तो माँ के नाम एक पेड़ जरूर लगाते हैं और इस बात को बहुत जोर से वो बैठकों में कहते हैं, अपील करते हैं कि जो शहर के क्षेत्र हैं, जंगल तो हैं बस्तर जैसे जगह या फिर छत्तीसगढ़ के कुछ क्षेत्र में वो भले घट रहे हैं लेकिन बाकी जगह से कम घट रहे हो, लेकिन शहर के अंदर की जो स्थिति वो खराब है तो उनको भी प्लांटेशन करके ऑफिस घर वगैरह में किया जाए तो इस बात का एक मतलब जीवंत उदाहरण मुझे मिल जाता है। दूसरा जो एक बात है, जल निकायों का जो संरक्षण है वो किया जाए। इसके लिए तालाब, झीलें और नालों का पुनर्जीवन किया जाए, उनका गहरीकरण किया जाए, उनको बांध बनाया जाए और जल प्रबंधन नहीं बल्कि तापमान नियंत्रण का भी महत्वपूर्ण माध्यम बन पाएगा। देन तीसरी जो बात मैं बोलना चाहूंगा कि भवन निर्माण नियमों में जलवायु अनुकूल डिजाइनों को भी बढ़ावा दिया जाए। छतों पर हरियाली हो गया, जैसे परावर्तक सामग्री हो गया, फिर जैसे वर्षा जल संरचना और प्राकृतिक वेंटिलेशन जैसी व्यवस्थाएं अनिवार्य और प्रोत्साहित किए जाने वाली हो। इसका एक बहुत ज्वलंत उदाहरण रायपुर जिला के कलेक्टर साहब हैं गौरव सिंह, अभी बहुत अच्छा कर रहे हैं वो, कि जैसे पीएम आवास योजना जो चल रहा है, पीएम आवास योजना में जैसे बड़े घरों में आर्किटेक्चर डिजाइन करते हैं, वैसे एक मतलब जल संरक्षण के लिए एक कम पैसे में, मतलब अमूमन 3,000 रुपया में वो एक स्ट्रक्चर बताते हैं कि वो पाइप करके एटलीस्ट वो जल संरक्षण होते, उनके खुद के काम तो आ ही जाएगा और हो सकता है कि बचे तो दूसरे का। तो इस तरह का प्रोत्साहन और अनिवार्य योजना में ऐड करना भी एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण कदम होगा। देन चौथी बात मैं बोलना चाहूँगा, आदिवासी और स्थानीय समुदाय को पारंपरिक जो ज्ञान है उनको नीति निर्माण में स्थान दिया जाए। बीइंग एंथ्रोपोलॉजिस्ट, ये बात हम लोग हमेशा करते हैं और प्रैक्टिकली भी हम देखते हैं। तो ये इस तरह जो अर्बन हिटलैंड आइलैंड की बात जब हम कर रहे हैं तो ये बहुत जरूरी मुद्दा हो जाता है। तो प्रकृति के साथ साथ की जो उनकी जीवन शैली को हमें सतत विकास के साथ महत्वपूर्ण पाठ सिखाती है, उसको जोड़ना चाहिए। और कहना चाहूँगा मैं नेक्स्ट बात की, शहरों और ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों के बीच संतुलित विकास की आवश्यकता है। यदि ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में रोजगार, शिक्षा और आधारभूत सुविधाओं का विस्तार होगा तो अनियंत्रित शहरीकरण को, दबाव को कम किया जा सकता है। इस बात को बहुत अच्छे से देखते हैं अपन कि लघु उद्योग, कुटीर उद्योग और इस तरह के रोजगार उपलब्ध हो जाएं ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में। और जो एक आज अर्बन कॉन्सेप्ट जो बन रहा है, रूरल से अर्बन की ओर, वो काफी हद तक शहरीकरण को नियंत्रित कर सकता है। देन और नेक्स्ट बात जो बोलना चाहूंगा, जलवायु परिवर्तन के प्रति जन जागरूकता को स्थानीय भाषा और स्थानीय संदर्भों के माध्यम से बढ़ाया जाए। जब समाज स्वयं सहभागी बनता है तभी नीतियां प्रभावी होती है। क्योंकि मैं बीइंग फिलैंथ्रोपिस्ट कई बार है कि नहीं, जो सोशल वर्क होते हैं छुट्टियों के दिन में या जब भी ऐसे मन होता है तो हम छोटे छोटे चीजें करते हैं। अभी एक सकोरा वितरण का कार्य एक फाउंडेशन के साथ हम लोगों ने किया यहाँ वक्ता मंच के द्वारा। तो जब एक अभियान बन जाता है और एक कोई एनजीओ, कोई एक प्राइवेट सेक्टर और एक कोई मतलब स्वतः समर्थन दिखने लगते हैं, लोग उसको जरूर एक्सेप्ट करते हैं। तो इस तरह जलवायु परिवर्तन के प्रति भी लोगों की जागरूकता को हम जन सहयोग से बढ़ा सकते हैं। और मुझे प्रसन्नता है कि भारत सरकार और विभिन्न राज्य सरकारें जलवायु अनुकूल जो विकास है, हरित ऊर्जा, वृक्षारोपण, जल संरक्षण और सतत शहरी विकास की दिशा में अनेक पहल कर रही है। और इन प्रयासों को स्थानीय समुदायों की सहभागिता, जैसे मैंने अभी कहा, कि बढ़ाया जाए और वैज्ञानिक अनुसंधान के साथ और अधिक सुदृढ़ करें, सशक्त करें, तो यह बहुत ही सफल होगा। और अंत में यही कहना चाहूँगा कि जब जलवायु परिवर्तन और अर्बन हिट आइलैंड की चुनौती के मध्य पर्यावरण की चुनौतियाँ नहीं है, बल्कि यह स्वास्थ्य, अर्थव्यवस्था, सामाजिक न्याय और भविष्य की पीढ़ियों के जुड़ा विषय है। बस्तर के जंगलों को लेकर हमारे बढ़ते शहर तक हमें विकास और प्रकृति के बीच संतुलन स्थापित करना होगा। यदि हम आधुनिक विज्ञान प्रभावित नीतियों और स्थानीय समुदायों की ज्ञान को साथ लेकर चलते हैं और केवल इन सारे जो बातें हैं उसको एक साथ सब करते हैं, सामना करते हैं, वो एक अधिक सुनिश्चित और सशक्त, हरित और टिकाऊ भविष्य का निर्माण कर सकेंगे, ऐसी मेरी आशा है, ऐसा मेरा सपना है। और बहुत बहुत
धन्यवाद, धन्यवाद डॉक्टर कवि साहब। मैं ये बताना चाहूंगा कि कवि साहब अभी जो हमारा प्रारंभ का नया इशू है उसमें स्पेसिफिक रेलेवेंस ऑफ ट्राइबल नॉलेज इन एड्रेसिंग एनवायरमेंटल चैलेंजेस, ये इन्होंने ये टॉपिक चूज किया है और इस पे ये पूरा स्पेशल इशू ला रहे हैं जो इस महीने के 15 तारीख को रिलीज होगा। तो उस प्रोग्राम में हम डॉक्टर हरिहरन सर से भी रिक्वेस्ट करेंगे कि आप भी आए। गोपी किशन सर जी भी उन्होंने कंट्रीब्यूट किया है। इनके कुछ वीडियोस बहुत अच्छे रहते हैं जो सर मैं हरिहरन सर मैं आपको शेयर करूंगा, आपको भी देख के बड़ा अच्छा लगेगा। एंड नाउ वी कंक्लूड दिस प्रोग्राम एंड या सर प्लीज प्लीज
Yeah.
अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ।
See, you know what our Dr. Narayan talked about? of having either a committee or a subcommittee, probably with Dr. Kavi helping us with the Tribal Research and Training Institute in Raipur, taking some lead or so. See, from what we heard from Narayan Saab, there has to be a way of initiating a few directions and steps that will ensure that this vast repertoire of knowledge of tribal ecosystems is fruitfully utilized for the 100 million tribals that we have. Dr. Kavi was talking, for example, about Vigyan and scientific approaches of today. But our tribal knowledge systems are so powerful that they are truly scientific in the ways that they bring harmony with nature. So, Subhashji, we have to see how we bring that about. Form a committee, bring people like Mihir Shah. I have other people who have worked in Chhattisgarh and in Madhya Pradesh and so on, as well as in Jharkhand, which are all tribal communities. And as Dr. Narayan said, the Northeast is a beehive of anthropological activity. And as Dr. Kavi says, even in his LinkedIn, he loves the work that he can do on anthropology. He writes, I love anthropology. So, Dr. Kavi, you have to also take a lead. If between you and Subhashji, you can say a few words before we conclude, that will help.
Sir, I will try my best, sir. Thank you.
Sir,
Subhashji,
we'll
aapse
try to
kuch?
work on your suggestion, and we'll or any further directions we will definitely come back to you. And as per in the last on the urban heat islands, we have done a series. So on your suggestion, sir, Dr. Hariharan, sir, we have moved for the second, and probably we will be doing the third one where we will be specifically releasing this newsletter on this tribal knowledge. Uh,
Sure.
so definitely we will try to work and we will try to put up the suggestions to government to form a subcommittee or subcommittee of the anthropologist environmentalist where these issues can be deliberated at large level. Thank you, sir. Thank you for
Lovely.
joining and make
Thank
this
you.
session successful. Thank you.
Thank you. Very
Thank
good
you.
listening to
Thank you.
both of you. Dr. Kavi, you were very insightful, just as our Soniji was. Soniji is a storehouse of information, of simple, pragmatic, practical tools from the ecosystems. Dr. Narayan is always very wise. Yeah. And good to hear him again.